Hey guys, in this video review, we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of both Knownhost's WordPress hosting and Siteground's WordPress hosting itself. We're going to be honing in really on cost, security, customer support, page performance, all of these things that I think are really important to know before getting started with any web hosting provider. By going over these things, it's going to help you to see which of the two providers would be best for creating your website, your blog, or even your e-commerce store. If you guys are new here to this channel for Learnanet.com, hit the subscribe button, guys, right below, along with the bell, and that way any future videos that I upload, you'll be sure to receive them. Also, go ahead and smash that like button. That way other amazing people just like yourselves will be able to find this same video in search. So as I mentioned before, guys, when creating a website, obviously you want to create a website with a web hosting provider that's affordable. You want a web hosting provider that really cares about security, being that we live in a world where there's lots of like hackers, malware, brute attacks, intrusions, and more. And so you need a web hosting provider that really takes proactive measures to protect your websites online. Also, you need a web hosting provider that has really great uptime performance. When people search for you online, guys, no matter what country you're receiving your visitors from, they want to know that your website is available online when they're searching for it 24/7, 365 days a year when people perform searches. Just like you guys performed a search today on YouTube or maybe through Google and you found this video, which is great. The video is up, my website is up. And that way you guys are able to see this Knownhost versus Siteground review. So in the same instance, whether you're going with Knownhost or Siteground, you need to lock in with a web hosting provider that you're comfortable with and that always deliver your website online when people are searching for it. So to do this review, guys, I put together a doc right over here. And basically on this document, we're going to go over several different points that I think are extremely important that I put together. That way you guys can consider the big picture and make a solid decision as for Knownhost and Siteground. So what we're going to talk about first, obviously, is cost. What does it cost to get started today with Knownhost and Siteground? There's a link that's right below, guys, the very first link. When you click on it, it's going to open up to Knownhost's landing page, which is this right here. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be focusing primarily on their managed WordPress hosting. Of course, with Knownhost and Siteground, they both offer different types of hosting, like shared hosting and that. But we're going to be focusing on their WordPress hosting itself. And so what you guys will notice all back, guys, with Knownhost is that one, with the entry and business plans, they allow you to host one website. With the corporate, you can host up to 5 sites. So if you want to create multiple sites online, then the corporate plan would be ideal for you. But something that I wanted to mention off the gate is that with Knownhost, you're getting 50 gigabytes of storage, 100 on the second tier, 150 on the third with the corporate plan itself. In the case of like Siteground, guys, you'll notice that on their very first tier itself, when you guys click the link below, it's going to open up the Siteground's landing page. You notice that on their first tier, and again, we're considering their WordPress hosting itself, you're only getting 10 gigabytes versus, in the case of Knownhost, you're getting 50 gigabytes. So in the case of SiteGround, only 10 with Knownhost, 50 gigabytes. So you're getting 5 times as much off the gate with Knownhost. Now, a huge difference with SiteGround's second and third tier is that you'll be able to host unlimited websites with that. Versus with Knownhost, on the very first and second tier, you can only host one site. If you want to host multiple websites, you have to get the corporate plan, with Knownhost itself. But with SiteGround, you can do it on Grow Big and Go Geek. Something that I wanted to talk about is obviously the cost itself. With the cost itself, you'll see that with the entry plan for Knownhost, it's $5.98, which is really affordable for all pockets itself. Something that you'll notice with SiteGround on the very first tier with the introductory pricing itself is what we're talking about, $2.99 per month with an 83% off discount today. When it renews, guys, it's going to renew at $17.99. So we're talking a lot of money. Obviously, this is like 6 times as much as the introductory pricing itself that it's going to increase to once you renew it. So right now, if you guys were to get the startup plan right now, right, and you lock in for, let's say, 3 years. I always recommend with web hosting in general that you purchase more web hosting upfront versus just going for just a year. So what it means, if you only get a year from today's date, it's going to renew at $17.99 per month. So we're talking about 6 times as much what you're paying today. That's what it's going to renew at. So that's something to consider, guys. When you think about pricing, introductory pricing, it's great because you'll save a lot of money on the front end, but you always want to think about what it's going to renew at. In the Grow Big case, you get it for $4.99 per month today with the 83% discount off. But when it renews, whenever your term renews, it's going to renew at $29.99 per month. With the Go Geek, the third tier up, it's going to be $7.99 today, but when it renews, it's going to bump up to $44.99. So we're talking about a substantial amount of money per month that it's going to renew at when your term actually finishes. Whether you're getting a year, 2 years, 3 years, that's what it's going to renew at. In the case of Knownhost itself, you'll see that right here. I wanted to show you guys. On the second tier, it's going to be $9.98. With the corporate plan, it's going to be $19.98. When it renews, I have this up right here. It's going to renew at $11.95. So it's way cheaper than, of course, Siteground. So $11.95 for the entry plan with Knownhost. So $11.95 versus $17.99 on the renewal. Obviously, you're saving, a lot of money with that. When you look at the second tier up, guys, it's going to renew at $19.95. So in the case of Siteground, $29.99. So we're talking about like $10 difference per month on the renewal side of things, be it, a year, 2 years, 3 years that you actually term your web hosting itself. So again, when you guys compare, you're going to be saving about $10 if you go with Knownhost on renewals with the second tier versus with Siteground. You notice that it's $29.99 as I previously highlighted. When you compare the third tier for Knownhost's corporate plan itself, when it renews at the end of your term, it's going to bump up to $39.95 versus with Siteground, as we previously highlighted, guys, it's going to be $44.99 per month. So this is something that you guys want to consider. Obviously, you will be able to host unlimited websites with Siteground's second and third tier, which is great. But across the board, guys, you'll see that you're only getting 10 gigabytes of web space, 20 on the second tier, 40 on the third tier. But when you look at Knownhost's, plans itself, you're getting more than enough, with it. So I think when you look at like resources in general, you're getting 5 times as much, right here. You're getting 100 gigabytes of storage on the second tier. So when you're thinking about resources in general, you're getting well over the amount that Siteground is offering, guys. And so that's why I wanted to do this Knownhost versus Siteground review to show you guys the huge benefit and advantage that you get by hosting with Knownhost. So the only downer with Knownhost's managed WordPress hosting is that you won't be able to host unlimited sites like you can do with Siteground, but you are getting more resources. You're able to manage more web traffic itself. Like you can see in the case of Siteground, on the first tier, it only handles up to 10,000 visits itself. 10,000 is great. A lot of competitors online do just about the same, like HostGator, Bluehost, and those guys. But again, when you're going with the comparison itself, you can host up to 100. You can manage up to 100,000 monthly visitors. So that's 10 times as much, even on your first tier. And it's only $5.98 to get started with it. So when you think about cost, guys, what you want to consider is not only the introductory pricing itself, the discounted rates that you're getting, but you want to also think about what is it going to cost you when you renew the service with Knownhost or Siteground, because you could benefit perhaps on the front end by saving money, but you might pay more, on the back end, as in the case with Siteground. So across the board, guys, you're talking about web hosting providers that have really amazing website speeds, page loads, uptime performance, both of which have 99.99% average uptime performance. And so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for web hosting providers that are super reliable. That way, when people are searching for you online, no matter wherever it is that they want to access, your website will be deliverable and it'll be online 24/7, 365 days a year. And so if you're thinking about calls on the front end, Siteground wins. But if you're thinking about renewals, then Knownhost is a host to go with. When you think about company reputation, obviously you want to know, what do people think about these two hosts, online. Both have really excellent company reputations online. People love both of these web hosting providers. I mean, you can check like on Reddit, you can go on like Trustpilot, you can look on just about any platform online, and you'll find tons of positive feedback and reviews, both for Knownhost and also SiteGround. Of course, on my site for Learnanet.com, what I'm going to do is link up to 2 reviews that I have, one review for Knownhost, another review for SiteGround, specifically with their WordPress hosting itself. That way you guys can look and learn a little bit more about these web hosts, and you can see again the reviews that people have left for both of these providers. And so both providers provide 24/7, 365-day support through phone, chat, and email. I mention this because, you just never know. You might have a question or an issue that's going down, and you need to get in contact with somebody. A lot of providers online may just offer only email support, and they may respond very fast, which is great. But I think it's important to have also that phone support. That way you can get somebody a lot faster, and it's nothing like just speaking to somebody, right? In the case of like Knownhost, they do use cPanel. SiteGround uses a control panel, which is really nice. It's very user-friendly, but it's something to think about if you're wanting to migrate your website from another provider over to SiteGround. SiteGround will do that, but it's not cPanel hosting that you might be used to. But again, SiteGround will migrate your website totally free, no downtime. The same is true with Knownhost as well. Let's talk about security. I mentioned in the beginning of this Knownhost versus SiteGround review that we live in a world that is very unsecure. Websites are bombarded each and every day with malware, hackers, brute attacks, different intrusions. And so you need to have a web hosting provider that cares about security and takes proactive measures each and every day to protect your websites online. So when you compare both Knownhost and SiteGround, they're really, really great when it comes to security itself. And so what I have here on this doc, guys, is really a overview with the different features that pretty much both of them have. Both provide 24/7 scanning on websites, which is really great. In the case of Knownhost, they provide what's called hardening, and hardening basically provides an additional layer of security for your website. Again, to provide protection against brute attacks, hackers, malware, and things of these natures. With Knownhost, they will do automatic renewals on SSL certificates. SiteGround does it as well. In the case of Knownhost versus using SSD drives, they use NVMe storage, which is a lot faster than SSD drives. And so that's the real difference between the two when it comes to like your files itself and the loading of those files. Knownhost has like faster page loads, if you will. And that's something that I wanted to mention in this video review. Now, when it comes to like firewall, both SiteGround and Knownhost do offer malware protection, and they will remove malware if it's found, on your websites as well. Something that Knownhost has that SiteGround doesn't, and that's Immunify. They use Immunify 360, which again provides around-the-clock security and scans of your website to again protect it against all of these possible attacks that might come your way. And so this is something that I just wanted to mention in the way of security, guys. There are a lot of points that we could mention, on it, but I wanted to keep this video review brief, straight to the point. That way you guys can see what it is that you're getting into before you get started today. Now, both providers do provide content delivery networks. It's extremely important that with any web hosting provider that you get started with, that you have a CDN. CDNs help to promote fast page loads, no matter where your visitor is coming from, be it in the US, Europe, Asia, wherever your visitors are coming from. You absolutely need a CDN, and both providers provide that for you. And so what I love about Knownhost is that they will allow you to select the data center that you want to be connected to. Some providers will automatically set it for you depending on the location where you're getting started with. So if you're in the US, you might be locked into X, data center itself. In the case of like Knownhost, they have 3 different data centers itself that you can connect to, but with Siteground, they have 11. So that's a huge advantage that Siteground has over Knownhost, is that they have 11 different data centers like around the world, versus with Knownhost, they have like Chicago, there's Seattle, and also Amsterdam, 3 main data centers that you can select from itself. Both providers will allow you to create websites using WordPress, obviously for WordPress hosting. But if you wanted to create your website using a different CMS platform, such as like Joomla, Drupal, Magento, OpenCart, or another script that's out there, obviously you have access to that with their cPanel and their control panels. And so both providers do offer 30-day money-back guarantees. So when you get started today, guys, using the links below, if you feel that Siteground is not for you or Knownhost is not for you, you can contact customer support, and obviously you can get your money back. And so this is, in a nutshell, guys, some bullet points, if you will, that I wanted to highlight in this doc, just to bring all of this together to help you to appreciate the huge benefits of hosting with both Knownhost and Siteground. And so the real question that we want to answer is, which of these 2 do I recommend? Which of the 2 web hosting providers should you get started with today? If you're thinking about costs, strictly about costs, both on the front and back end, I highly recommend that you go with Knownhost. If you're thinking more about like data centers and coverage, like global coverage for your websites and being able to lock into any data center that you want, Siteground would definitely be the number one, with that. Both are really great with customer support around the clock. Both are really great with security. I think that Knownhost beats Siteground with their security. They have some additional measures in place that Siteground doesn't have. As I just mentioned before, both offer CDN, so that's a huge plus, guys. And so I'm leaning more to Knownhost, but Siteground, if you're thinking about, again, data centers, they do have more data centers than Knownhost, and so both are super reliable web hosting providers with great coverage, guys. And what I'm going to do is leave the links right below. That way you can get started with your preferred brand itself. So if you're a person that doesn't really care about costs, you have like a huge budget, then Siteground, I would say, is the one to go with itself. Obviously, when you get started with them on the front end with the introductory pricing itself, it's a lot cheaper to get started on the front end. But again, if you're a person that you don't really care about the renewals itself, what it costs, Siteground is a provider to go with that. But if you care more about costs, you're a beginner online, then I highly recommend that you go with Knownhost. So these are the main factors, guys, that you want to consider. Obviously, the cost, affordability, the performance, uptime performance, customer support. These are some main things, guys, that I wanted to mention, in this video. So tell me, guys, what you think about this video review. Who are you more inclined to go with today to create your website? Are you thinking to go with Knownhost, or do you want to go with Siteground? Let me know your response right below, and let me know what you thought about this brief review. Get started today, guys, with the links below. I hope that you guys found value with it. If you did find value with this video review, go ahead and smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And that way on future videos, guys, you'll be able to see them on this YouTube channel. Have an amazing day and have much success in creating your next website. Take care.